After 35 years in the NHL as a coach or general manager, uh, somebody asked me a week or so ago when I was going to make up my mind. I said it'd be quickly after the season. It's time to step aside and have a different role with the organization. I can say this, that every day in the NHL has been a challenge, and it's been great. And it's taken, some time to come to this decision, but I think time for my family. Jerry's been unbelievable. I remember back in 78, 79, I said to her, I'd like to try to go to Regina and coach for 1 year full-time and see how it goes. And she said, oh, sure, that's great. Leave me alone here for a year in Shawville, and I did, and we ended up having a long career out of it. My two girls, Brittany and Heidi, deserve more time. My two grandchildren, Addie and Emma, deserve more time, and I'm going to try to give it to them as best I can. Also, of course, with the medical situation I'm in, I felt that I have to look after that as well, and after talking to the doctors that I'm involved with on a regular basis, I thought it was the right decision to come to as well. There's so many people I have to thank for what's happened with me. First of all, to Eugene Melnick. First of all, for being a friend, and secondly, for giving me the opportunity to come back to Ottawa, my home area, to finish my career. I thought it was going to be 3 or 4 years. It turned out a little longer than that. But he's given me an opportunity for that. He's asked me to stay on as a senior advisor as well, and I do appreciate that. It gives me something to do with my free time. I hope it's a lot more than free time, but at least be involved with Pierre and going forward. Again, thanks to the many great people I've worked with over the years. I mean, I can tell you, I've been so fortunate to meet great players, great coaches, great managers, great people mainly. Even some of you guys are pretty good. So, and the way I've been treated here, I have to say I do really appreciate that because you've treated me with great respect. I have special thanks to Allison Vaughn, who put up with my nonsense each morning. I come in grumbling after a win or a loss, whatever it may be, and she ran the office and looked after us so well. To Randy Lee, who has been outstanding in his work with Binghamton, but around the office, his calm demeanor, his willingness to do whatever job is called upon. To Alfie, coming on board this year to help in many areas, much more than our public, but certainly around players and that. To Pierre, Randy, again, for the extra load they took on this year when I wasn't here every day, when every other week I had to do something for a couple of days. To Brian Morris for his staff and his staff, they've been outstanding with me and, again, treated me with great dignity. I'm leaving after a disappointing year, and I think that's maybe the hardest part. You always want to try to leave on the up, and that wasn't to be this year. But I really feel good about the talent level that's on the ice in the future for this organization, and I was adamant that when we step aside to let a new person take over, that we understand that we all feel good about what is in the future here. And I think it's a very bright future. I think we'll be competitive for years to come. Enough of me. I think after working with Pierre for 9 years and knowing him well before that, the hard-working guy that he is, a scout, the knowledgeable hockey guy, his dedication, his work ethic, how he'll interact with the people here, I'm real proud to introduce Pierre Dorion as the next general manager of the Ottawa Senators. Pierre.
Thank you, Brian. I would like to welcome all of you here today, and sorry about doing this on a Sunday. J'aimerais vous souhaiter tous la bienvenue ici aujourd'hui et mes excuses pour faire ceci un dimanche. The reason we are doing this today is that we want our fans to know that our management structure is in place. As most of you are aware, Bryan has been the biggest influence in my professional and private life. He has decided to step down. I am so thankful and extremely humble in following in Bryan's footsteps. Having to learn from someone who will and should be in the Hockey Hall of Fame is something that I can only be thankful for. Bryan has been a tremendous mentor. He's taught me what it takes to be an excellent GM. He is one of the best human beings that I've ever crossed in the path or on this face of this earth. Please don't be fooled here. I'm stepping into big shoes. For most of us, our fathers are our heroes. I'm going to try not to be too sentimental here. My father, Pierre Dorion Sr., whom a lot of you know, was Chief Scout for Central Scouting for a long time and was Chief Scout for the Toronto Maple Leafs. In my eyes, my father was the greatest human being I ever met. He passed away at a young age. Having Bryan Murray in my life has filled a personal need no one else besides my dad could have filled. To me, Bryan is the second greatest man I've ever met. In the past 9 years of working together, where it was many lunches, formal or informal, many conversations, it was always about doing the right thing. Working 9 years with Bryan has been one of the greatest things in my life, especially in the past 7 seasons where I've had the chance to live with him on a day-to-day basis. You can't be around this man and not feel the compassion he has for others and how his passion is for the game. I wouldn't be standing up here without the support of Bryan, and I wouldn't have taken his job without his approval. Bryan and I are two different people. He's from a little town called Charlotte, Quebec, and for most of you that know, I'm from Orleans, right here beside Ottawa. He's just a few years older than me. For those who wonder, he is tougher than me. And we have one passion, and that's for us to succeed as a franchise. I'm so excited that he's staying on board as an advisory role. In the future, I hope to make as many good trades as Bryan has made in the past few years. We can't forget that Bryan has brought in a #1 goalie in this organization, Craig Anderson, a top-end center in the quality of Kyle Turris, and one of his last trades was bring Dion Phaneuf, who brings so much character and intangibles. Bryan will be someone that I consult through my years as general manager for this hockey team, and it'll be wonderful for me to have him on a day-to-day basis. Things haven't gone according to plan this past season, but for me, it's just a blimp on the road. I do feel we have a good hockey team, but we haven't achieved the level of success that is expected or needed. I don't think there's much sense on dwelling on the past, but we need to learn the lessons from this past season and never repeat them in the future. I think there are many positives with this hockey team, and I really want to talk about these. We have Erik Karlsson. He's the best defenseman in the NHL. He's one of the most dynamic players in the NHL. We've had Craig Anderson, who was second in saves in the league. I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but he did stop a lot of pucks. We have a great nucleus of players here, and I really believe that through Bryan's work, we're on the right path of getting to a cup. If you look at the guys like Mark Stone, Kyle Turris, Bobby Ryan, Mike Hoffman, Mika Zibanejad, Jean-Gabriel Papaggio, Zach Smith, Clark MacArthur. We did miss Clark a lot this year on and off the ice. Really comfortable with a group of our top 4 defensemen. Pageau led the league in shorthanded goals. Zach Smith scored 25 goals. Yesterday, I think that might have been the most glorifying handshake that I had. Mika's someone that's emerging as someone who can take on a bigger role, and especially with this play down the stretch. We were 9th in goal scoring. We have 2 blue chip prospects in Thomas Chabot and Colin White. We've seen some of our younger players being able to contribute as call-ups. If you look at Freddie Kleisen, Ben Harper, especially Nick Paul, which is a trade that Bryan made. Matt Pumple, Ryan Zingle, Max McCormick. We just signed a player that we think has a big future in Andreas Englund. We have a big draft upcoming. At the moment, we're picking 12. Hopefully, we win with that 2% chance and get in a lottery pick. Let me assure our fans that when I took this job, both Bryan and Eugene asked me to be involved in knowing the first rounders, and I've done that in the past few years, and I will do that this year. But our scouting is in great hands under Bob Lowe's. As far as the future, anyone who falls under the umbrella of hockey in this organization will be evaluated. We can all talk about accountability, but for me, results bring accountability. We are in a business of winning and positive results. People who know me know that I'm driven, sensitive, passionate, demanding, but most importantly, for me, it's usually black or white. Communication is key. I've learned that from Bryan, whether informal or formal. I know this won't be an easy job. I'm confident in my abilities, but I know that how hard my staff and I will have to get back to our winning ways. For us, not making the playoffs was simply unacceptable. I wasn't hired here to bring the team to the playoffs, but to succeed in the playoffs. Just on a personal side, most of you know I'm from Ottawa. I grew up all my life here except for 1 year in North Bay. Don, you should be happy about that. My roots and my family are here. I have two of the greatest kids in the world. My daughter Vanessa's in the background here. She's 14 years old. Unfortunately, my son couldn't be here today. He's playing in a hockey tournament in Castleman. They know the sacrifices that have been made for our family to get to where we've gone. I hope my 20 years of experience in the NHL and 23 years in hockey will hopefully serve this franchise and guide the Sens back to their winning ways. The biggest thank you goes to Eugene Melnick for putting the trust of his team in my hands.